Is it possible to look at the world without looking at it through symbols, through story, through narrative? When we look at our parents, do we look at our mom and say, there's a person, or do we say, this is what a mom's supposed to be and this is how the discrepancy happens? That's why we have a divine mother in our mythologies, because we have an ideal. Same with the father. Do we see him just as the person he is, or do we say, hey, there's an ideal for a father and you fell short on it in these few ways? And do we do the same with our friends? I want to come back to mom and dad because it's really important that we have those archetypes, that we have those kind of structures that hold us up, recognizing that the person within them, the version of it that we got, isn't the complete package of what it is to be loved and nurtured, such as the mom, or to be driven and capable, such as the father figure, archetypically. But let's put it further outside the family. Friends. Do we look at the person? Surely we just appreciate the person and we don't categorize them as a masculine friend or a feminine friend, or the sporty friend, or the chatterbox storyteller, or the fun friend that gets everyone going on a night out, or whatever the category is. Surely we don't do that to them. Surely we just appreciate the person in front of us. It all comes down to symbolism. We can do it with kids. Okay, there's the troublemaker kids, there's the sporty kids, there's the question askers, all of this. Okay, no worries. Maybe it's just on a relational field. Maybe it's just with people. What about when it's with animals? Well, they symbolize love and joy because every time I come into the house, the dog meets me and it's just always loving. Therefore, it pulls me in that direction. It symbolizes that just unwavering love for me. How would I know unwavering love as well as I know it if I hadn't had a dog in the past, if I hadn't had contact with that type of love before? Then we get into the details of pens. Just writing down. Do we symbolize what a pen means? Is that a writer's pen? Is that a journalist's pen? Is that an office pen? Is this my pen? Is this someone else's pen? Where did I get it from? How does it feel? What relationship do I have with it? Now we're going to get, that's kind of the end point there. But before we get there, let's ask the obvious question because it will just lead naturally there. If everything is a symbol, if everything is a story, if I cannot perceive the world without perceiving it through story, then what is left that's real? That's like really real? Because surely symbols are not really real. There's another video, but we'll leave that one. Surely these archetypes of mom and dad are not real, and that the person in front of me is more real. Depends. Stretched over time, which one has more of an effect in the world? Again, okay, let's put all of those to the side because I understand the question and it's natural, and Descartes asked it because he was like, with all of this, just like, what can I actually be sure? Just like, what can I really be sure of? And he comes off with his favourite quote of, I think therefore I am. I'm going to be skeptical of everything to the point where I question all of it. Is this person who is my friend, are they really that type? Are they really this person? No, I need to unhook from that. I need to stop doing that to them. These books and pens and cups that I have a favourite for, or that remind me of a memory or bring some sort of flavour to my life, am I projecting all of those? Is that really in the cup? That, like, my favourite cup is all the kind of comfort and joy that I get from that. Is that in the cup? No, it's okay. So I'm being skeptical. How do I know the cup's even there? It could be a simulation. We've all watched Matrix, so I can throw that one out there fairly easy, and you'll understand skepticism to the extreme where you cannot be sure of even the hand in front of you, perhaps. But he asked the question, I think therefore I am. That's the only thing he knew he could be sure of. I am thinking, I am conscious, therefore there is something there. There is a there that I can actually promise myself. Can I promise myself that the door here to my right is really there? Could I be deluding myself? Could I just be imagining it? Again, could it be a simulation? Whatever the skeptical thing is, I can call it into question. But surely the one thing I cannot call into question is that I think, therefore I am. There is something here. Whew, okay. That makes me feel better. But it also digs me into the deepest, darkest hole ever, because it is impossible then to bring that back outside and to relate to the world without being totally solipsistic, saying that the only thing that I know is real is that I think, therefore I am, and everything else is a question, and everything else is just a matter of perception. And we get into the whole postmodern movement of, like, you know, how do you know that this person is really powerful? How do you know that they're not coming at it from a really hurt place and they're forcing themselves to be more powerful than they are? They're trying to make up for something. How do you know that's not a story? And we undermine all of the heroes, and then we elevate the villains because we're like, how do you know he doesn't have a story that's worth telling, that, like, you know, we can empathize with and we can still learn from? And we get the Joker. So what's the next step? Now, this is kind of where we are as a culture. We've listened to Descartes for a long time, but now we're starting to realize that it doesn't quite work. In our individualistic society, to use the buzzword, we're feeling lonely and we want to feel more powerful. We want to relate to things. We don't want to call everything into question. Surely there's a camera in front of me and I'm not just in a strange room talking at a wall in some insane asylum with a straitjacket on, imagining all of this. Surely. Okay, so how do we get there though? Do we just kind of like leap of faith it and just being like, like, you know, I can touch it, I can taste it, I can see it, like, you know, I'm just going to, it's there, like, you know, I'm going to lower my threshold for what is real to the point where everything starts becoming real again. Whew, okay, nice. That won't work. We've asked the question now. It's, even if you haven't heard of Descartes, even if you haven't heard that quote, the question has been asked, and it has rippled through all of our other stories, all of our ways of seeing. I have seen references to such things on The Simpsons. But let's take the next step. What is the next step? I think, therefore I am. So the only thing that I can be sure of is that this is real, and I call everything else into question. Why do I phrase it that way? Why do I frame the question that way? I wasn't built like this. I am not the person I was 20 years ago. I am not the person I was when I was born. There's, like, the deterministic sort of pattern there doesn't work. Even if you are a determinist and you don't believe in free will, it doesn't work in isolation. Someone outside of you related to you, someone taught you a lesson here, someone pulled your attention in a direction here, and you grew and expanded who you were and what you knew and what you were all about. That is how we grow, that is how we become people. For the first at least 6 months of your life, you are solely looking straight at another person, just being like, what is it that we're doing here? You're smiling, okay, I smile. Okay, and then how does that relate back into what you do? And babies are just desperately trying to make sense of the world because we come into this world with very little hardware. So much of it is software, and so much of that needs to be developed and worked with. So here's the question. Instead of this is real, this is everything else is into question, you say, this isn't so real. This is actually kind of a question. This was made. This was produced. The reason that I like this sport is because my family likes this sport. The reason that I follow this religion is because my family follows this religion. I didn't think about all of this. The reason I speak English is because I was taught English. And the English language has more nouns than verbs, more items than processes, and that actually affects the psychology. So you go into a different language and you might have a different psychology, you might have different tendencies. seeing the world in a more flowy sense versus as a more item sense. Who knows? That could be total BS as well at the same time. But I surely didn't invent English. And I surely didn't encourage myself every step of the way. I sought out the admiration, I sought out the respect, I sought out the attention, I sought out all of these things to validate where I am going, what I'm doing. Like, this is just, if you've met a kid, as in like the smallest bit of encouragement. So the question now becomes, rather than I think therefore I am real, therefore how can I figure out what else is real? The question becomes, what in the environment outside of me is real such that I am afforded, that I have this space in the world to be conscious? What in the world is in tension with each other, what is related to each other, such that it produced a being like me? That puts everything into relation. That re-enchants the world. That changes everything and every structure that we have some bit built. I'm still digesting what that means, and I'm questioning it, and I'm holding it where it is a question, just like I think therefore I am. I have both sides, one on either hemisphere of my brain perhaps. But if you sit with that, what does the world have to be such that I am afforded, such that I have this space, such that I am? What does the world have to be such that I am, or so that I am? Find your phrasing of it, find your words that sit it with you, that make it sticky for you. Find those words and sit with it. My mom had to be a certain way, my dad had to be a certain way. Not the ideals, not the symbols, but they had to be certain ways. They were symbolic somehow. Their story afforded my story. It helped me create a story. I scaffolded it off them. I blueprinted my life off them, off others. I was dragged, I was torn, I was all of these things. The world was such a way that I am here now as I am in front of you. Now, there is a leap for that. I'm not saying that this is easy. This is very much... Kierkegaard helps me here with his existential bet. It's like, this is a question that's beyond me that I will not know the answer for, but it's where I'm placing my existential bet. I'm highly condensing that down, but I'm going to leave it there. I hope you've had a good week. I hope you're looking forward to the week to come. I hope this is sticky for you and you start seeing these like little tentacles that are attaching you, that are tethering you to all these different things and are pulling at you and are demanding stuff from you and are helping to create you and afford you, and then you start looking at what does afford you, what makes you bigger, stronger, what pulls you in such a direction that you become this wiser person, that you're able to navigate. So I hope for all of that, because I think that will naturally lead you to my workshops, where we talk about the virtues and we talk about the beauty of wisdom and we talk about the transcendentals and all of these things that you need no education for. It's just your felt experience of it, and then we hold tension between us and we're just like, and it's beautiful. But for today, let's just find the tethers, let's just find what affords us, what is in the world such that we exist, and later down the line, I will call you into the cult. I'm gonna leave it there. I will see you in the next one, guys. Bye.